Welcome to this episode of Locked In. In this episode, I'm going to be doing my full review of the Tranzx Antishock stem. So if you're looking for a stem to reduce some of the vibration on your road or gravel bike or all-road bike or even cross bike, this video is for you, so please stay tuned. And if you haven't subscribed already, I really would appreciate it if you would. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the specs and features, installation, price, and my final thoughts. So let's get into the specs and features of this stem. This is a aluminum stem that is offered in sizes from 80 millimeters all the way up to 110 millimeters. It works on your standard 1/1/8 style steer tubes. It has a 31.8 clamping 4-bolt faceplate, and in the 100 millimeter size, it is rated at 190 grams. It offers 2 degrees of compliance that is user adjustable, which I'll be getting into later. And you do have to run this in the negative or downward position for the stem. You cannot run it facing up or else you won't get that compliance out of it. So now let's get into installation. Installing this is going to be just like your normal stem. The only thing you need to be mindful of is when you put it on the steer tube, there does come with a sleeve that you need to remove to keep the pivot pins in the stem. So just make sure when you're installing it on the steer tube that you are mindful those don't fall out. Then you're going to install obviously your handlebars and making sure to torque those up to spec. And then for your steer tube bolts, when you're tightening them, you do have to torque them a little bit higher than your standard stem. The lower bolt you're going to set to 8 Newton meters, and then the upper bolt is going to allow you some user adjustment with how much compliance you want in the stem. Now this isn't exact science, and unfortunately they don't have a weight rating or suggestion. It is kind of a feel thing that you can play with. So you can go anywhere from 6 Newton meters to 10 Newton meters to vary up the compliance in the front. Now I'm about 180 pounds and I set mine to about 7 or 8 Newton meters by feel, and I've really liked this. Obviously if you're at the higher weight category, I maybe crank this a little bit more if you see that this stem is too active for you. So now let's get into price. Price for this stem is going to be $99, and I will be providing a link for their website directly and an Amazon link if they have the item active. Now let's get into my final thoughts. I'm going to be talking about ride quality as well as who I see this stem for. Ride quality wise, this is kind of like their Antishock QL seat post, which I recently reviewed, and I'll put a link for that in the description below. This is going to be kind of that numbing stem, meaning that it's not super active. You're not really going to feel the stem moving, and I thought it wasn't really working right, or I over torqued it at first until I kind of sat there and actually looked at it off the bike. It does actually move, but this is going to be kind of like installing a carbon set of handlebars, where it's not a game changer as far as ride comfort, but you're going to feel that kind of dampening or numbing sensation when you hit a pothole or some gravel, where you're just feeling a little bit less than you're used to if you're sensitive to how your bike feels. Which is going to lead me into who I think this stem is for. This stem at this price point I think is a killer option. Now I wish they would actually list the degree of travel, because 2 degrees, I don't know what that equates to. I think that feels about like 10 millimeters or so. So unlike the Redshift shock stop stem, which is about 30 millimeters of travel, this is a lot less active feeling, but on the other end, you do get more response out of the stem when in more critical situations or areas where you want to kind of pop the front end of the bike, especially on gravel, or maneuver it. There's a little less lag to it that I've noticed riding this stem. So I think that if you're a gravel rider or an endurance road rider or commuter, I think this is a great stem for you if you just want a little bit more compliance. Let's say you have an aluminum bar, you're already running maybe some bar gel and thick tape, and you don't want to commit to a carbon bar because if you crash and you crack it, that's an expensive swap out. So I think this is going to add comfort no matter what on any bike, but I think you have to keep in mind this isn't going to be this game changer of a feel to your front end. It's just going to kind of numb it out. So if you're riding a lot of hero gravel for your gravel bike, or you're commuting on whatever style of bike, hybrid or all-road bike, or you're an endurance athlete and you just want to take off some of that harshness that you may be feeling in your hands, even with a good set of gloves, I think this is going to be the stem for you. And it doesn't have a big weight penalty over a standard stem. Again, at that 190 grams, even for a standard stem, that's about the same weight. For a weight weenie stem, you may be only paying about 60 to 70 grams more for this compared to maybe over 100 or more for a more compliant stem that's out on the market. So I definitely would recommend it if you fit yourself into those categories. So let me know what you think in the comments below if you want one, or if you have any questions about it. I check my comments every single day. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, like I said earlier, please do. It really does help out. And you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Links for those things are in the description below, as well as you can support Locked In via my Spreadshirt or Pateron. It really does help me produce these videos on a weekly basis to create cool content just like this for everybody who's watching. And lastly, thanks for watching this episode of Locked In.
Let's get locked in today. Like tutorials and